Go. So good morning. My name is Jennifer DeMudd, and I am the Executive Director of the Manufacturing Growth Alliance, also known as MGA. We are a membership-based organization that provides services to help small manufacturers build smart, lead strong, and establish a pathway for future growth. Our services drive solutions that make manufacturing in Michigan the most competitive and prosperous in the nation. In recent months, MGA has spoken with a number of women-owned manufacturing facilities. The women did not have the women-owned business certification credential. There are a number of benefits to having the certification. Our guest today, who is from SBA, Michigan District Office, will share about the women-owned business certification, the process, and the benefits. So before I introduce our presenter, just a few housekeeping items I'd like to share. All participants are on mute. We encourage you to include your questions and comments in the chat box, and we'll make sure that those questions are answered. We will also be recording the conversation today for future use. Now let's introduce our presenter. Gabrielle Connor is a business opportunity specialist at the Michigan District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. Gabrielle has delivered numerous presentations on women-owned business certification. She is well-versed in SBA programs to help small businesses with a variety of tools and resources. She has a diverse background, including 3 degrees focused on criminal justice and corrections, public safety, public administration, and she is currently working on her 4th degree in criminal justice and criminology. Gabrielle has been with the federal government as an employee since 2016, previously with the Department of Homeland Security. Let's welcome Gabrielle.
Thank you, Jen. As always, it's a pleasure to present on behalf of SBA and MGA. I'm excited. This is a really good topic, a good follow-on to what I did a few weeks ago with you guys. So I think there's a lot of good information for you guys to retain. That way you'll be a little bit more familiar with EDWSB and WASB. So I'll go ahead. Okay, so obviously we're going to be talking about the woman-owned small businesses in federal contracting. And like we previously talked about last week, there are different set-asides. Oh, sorry, let me go back. There are different set-asides for the federal contracting program. So for our acquisition goals, for women-owned, it's 5%. For small disadvantaged businesses, including 8A certified, it's 5%. For HUBZone businesses, it's 3%. And for service disabled veteran-owned small businesses, it's 3%. So when we look at this aggregate total here, we have to keep in mind that the federal government has these goals set aside because they identified a market where they felt like these groups were not getting the contracts that they could be getting. So they have these set aside. And under these set asides, they have thresholds under our simplified acquisition threshold and our micro purchase threshold that they have to abide by within those 5 acquisition goals. So for micro purchase threshold is 3,500, and for the simplified acquisition it's 250,000. Okay. So here's just a little bit of history, a little bit of example what this looks like as far as when women-owned and small businesses were in prime contracting. So in fiscal year 2018, they had a historic high of $22 billion, which is great. The number of awardees were 16.8K WASB prime contractors. So it looks like women are getting out there and making a difference. The industries that we're focused on were professional, scientific, and technical services. Most featured in the NAICS Code Sector 54 or in construction, NAICS Code Sector 23. And the top 5 agencies included SBA, the Office of Personnel Management, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the Department of Interior. So they met their goals, and this was a great achievement for fiscal year 2018. Now, when we're talking about the women-owned small business certifications, we're thinking about, like, what does that look like for the WASB federal contracting program? So basically in this program, you want to take advantage of annual prime contracting goals. And the reason why you want to go ahead and do that is because there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and whether you are a prime contractor or a subcontractor, you want to make sure you're aware of what those goals look like. You also want to build capacity and grow. And with that, you want to make around you and maximize those tools around you. You want to expand on your business if you can expand. You want to, get more employees. You want to reach out to people who you never wanted to reach out to, just to make sure you get good exposure for your woman-owned business. And then you also want to assess the set-asides for WASBs and EDWSBs. So what that basically looks like is you're looking specifically for set-aside contracts, again, like I mentioned in the previous acquisition goals. These are specifically for you, which means they can go ahead and directly award that to your business, which is a great asset, especially if you're a small business and you're up and coming small business. So there were some certification changes. So as of October 15, 2020, businesses competing for WASB Federal Contracting Program set-aside contracts will have to be certified either through SBA's free online certification process or an approved third-party certifier, TPC, at a cost. Now, as far as the third-party certifiers, SBA does have 4 that they would recommend. However, you can do whatever you want. You can find that information on SBA.gov under federal contracting, and you will have to pick the one that specifies for WASB, and you can see what are the 4 approved third-party certifiers, but you can also do it through SBA.gov as well, because this is what we're doing and it's free. So small businesses will be able to utilize an approved TPC at a cost to obtain WASB or EDWSB certification. This is completely your choice. You can do one or the other, but obviously it doesn't have to be both. You can either do free or third party. So I'll just go over a couple changes that was pretty relevant to 2020 as far as the timeline. So in May, the new WASB contracting program regulations were established in the Federal Register. These regulations dealt with the changes in the certification process. So this is May 2020. We're about a couple months out in the pandemic during this time. Then certified WASBs would download their documentation housed in the WASB program repository from certified.sba.gov. That's what they were using at that time. And then the third-party certifier certificates must be still uploaded into the WASB program repository as well in that same location. So what happened was, beginning in July 15, firms were able to submit the application under the new certification process for initial processing, which is beta.certified.sba.gov. So that's the big change. It went from certified to beta.certified.sba.gov. And then the firms that are third-party certified had to create a new account in the new certification platform and upload their TPC certificate for SBA to complete their initial processing. So once that happened, that was like the startup. October 15 rolled around, and that's where we officially made everyone use beta.certify, which I think is a great tool, has a lot of good information. It's easy to understand. They have a good knowledge base there that goes over training, application guides, and whatnot. So if you're unfamiliar with that, I definitely would take a good look at beta.certify if you're thinking about becoming a WASB or EDWSB. So as far as the certification changes resources, the SBA did give out some guidance on this in regards to what you can do if you're unsure what that looks like. So if you want to stay up to date with the changes in the WASB Federal Contracting Program, you would contact sba.gov/WASB ready. You can also contact your local SBA regional and district office. Hence, I am the Michigan District Office representative. I'm one of 2. You can reach out to your SBA resource partner. You can reach out to your PTACs. You can reach out to any other type of resource partner. And that also includes your SBDC, your SCORE, your WBCs, if you have any inquiries about what that process looks like. We also have the latest FAQs, which are typically updated very periodically. You can go ahead and check that out. There is a certification options table. They often give you a document list to tell you all the documents that you need to have in order to submit for the WASB application program, as well as the EDWSB application program. There is a fact sheet that you can look up that describes, will you be WASB ready? It has questions on there that have been specific to people's experiences, and SBA gave an answer. And then also there's an Are You WASB Ready infographic that you can check out as well if you're curious to see what that aspect looks like. So when you're thinking about what is WASB Ready, right? Because what is that? We don't know what that is. I didn't know what that was until they told me. So basically, it's just like a program that they have, or like a slogan that they use. And in this, they highlight different partners on initiatives like Challenge Her. They host countrywide events, and SBA hosts a lot of events. It's too many to mention, and we're across the whole United States. We expand on partnerships with stakeholders. So stakeholders, what that means to us are people that we closely rely on, people that we do business with, people that we talk to on a daily basis. Like our resource partners are our stakeholders. We give them clientele, they give us clientele. That's how that works. We share updates on social media. You can always follow us on our social media pages. We do talk about WASB, 8A, any other services. We have lender relations specialist services, as well as economic development services. You'll see stuff about that. And then obviously we also conduct informational webinars like this, and that's throughout the district, and specifically WASB as well. So we have lots of good things going on, and I think this is a good initiative to get more exposure to a program that not many people may know about. So now you're probably wondering, is WASB certification appropriate for you? I don't know, maybe it is. You know, if you're a woman, why not maximize your womanhood? It's hard, you know, being a woman these days. So you want to think, you have managerial experience? All right, you do, that's great. You know, are you the highest position? Are you the highest officer position? Most people are like, well, I think so. Well, if you're the CEO and you have a vice president, well, guess what? You are the highest officer position. Now you qualify. Do you have the proper NAICS code? Now, if you were not here a few weeks ago when I did the presentation about what the NAICS codes are, it's basically a identification classification system that identifies the scope of work that you do. So you must have a NAICS code to do federal government contracting in general. We have to know what you do. You have to have one primary. And then once you have one primary, you would have, you know, you can have several secondary. You don't have to have, but most people have several, more than 5. And then another major requirement, you must be 51% owner or more. Okay, so I'm going to say or more because most people own their business 100%. If you do, great. You just have to be the bare minimum of 51%, right? And then you also have to manage the day-to-day daily operations, okay? You have to be the one doing all the jobs. You have to be the one responding. It's your responsibility because it's your business. I'm not saying we're not always busy. I understand. However, for the purposes of this description, I need you to go ahead and do those daily operations, okay? And then here's the kicker. This is the great part about the WASB certification that sets you apart from the other certifications that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. You do not, and I repeat, you do not have to have a minimum time in business. Isn't that like wonderful? Because most people have like a 2-year startup. You have to have a 3-year startup. We want to see revenue. But in the WASB certification, the EDWSB certification, it allows you to come in there fresh. You can start a business today. And now you can be a WASB certification as long as you can prove that you have a NAICS code and you're registered in the other government classification system. So that makes it a really great attribute to this already great certification that most people are not even aware that exists. So I'm going to let you know, make sure you understand, is WASB appropriate for you? And I think it is based off of these 6 things. Just keep that in mind as we move on. There's some more good stuff out there. So now we're going to move on to EDWSB. So we're talking, okay, so I mentioned there's a WASB, so that's just every woman, right? Now we're going to talk about the economically disadvantaged women out there, right? So that doesn't mean it's like, oh, it's a mark on your resume that you're damaged. It doesn't mean that. It just means because of your income, it puts you in a different category to where you can also get different types of set-asides as well. So your personal net worth minus your liabilities, so that'd be minus your 401k, minus your Roth, minus your equity in your business, minus your mortgage, has to be less than $750,000. Okay, so if you minus all of that, I think you guys can manage that. It's not too hard. And then obviously you have to manage that anyways, because in order to be a small business, you have to have a certain income or become within a certain amount of employees or revenue based off of those NAICS codes. So I'm going to say you're in the clear for that one. And then we're going to move on to your 3-year average income. So this is across 3 years. So I'm going to give you an example, most easy example. So say for year one, fiscal year one, we're talking 2018, you made $350K. You made $350K 2019. You made $350K for 2020. Guess what? Over 3 years, that's $350K. Now you meet that. That's another good thing. And then you also have a fair market value of all assets. It's $6 million or less, okay? So as long as you're keeping in mind what those 3 main criteria are for EDWSB, I think you're in the clear. You're moving on to something, and maybe that doesn't work for you. You still have the opportunity to certify as a WASB. They're just giving you 2 different options, and both of them are great options for set-asides. So for the WASB eligibility process, as you mentioned, or as I mentioned earlier, I talked about SAM.gov. Now, if you're not familiar, if you were not here in a couple weeks ago when I talked about SAM, I'm going to talk about SAM again. So I want you guys to, remember and understand what's going on here, right? So SAM is like your best friend, okay? SAM is your best friend because Sam's going to give you the opportunity to tell everything about yourself, and you can be as conceited as you want because the government wants to know about you. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of small business owners, and we want to know about you. So you're going to utilize SAM.gov, and you're going to highlight everything your business did. You're going to talk about your capacities, your capabilities. You're going to talk about your past performances. You're going to give your NAICS code. You're going to give your DUNS number, which is a special number that talks about your business specifically. Every business should have one of these, especially if you're doing federal government contract, because that's like a unique identifier. This is only for your business. You might have a DBA. You can put your DBA in there. I also do business as this. So SAM is like your best friend because this is the only time probably in history where we'll allow you to talk about yourself and go on, and we're actually looking at the relevant stuff versus, if we do that in our personal lives, and that's subject to whose ever perspective that you're giving that information to. So as I mentioned again, in July 15th, they introduced beta.certified, .sba.gov. So they moved away from certified and moved to beta because it was a better, efficient system. And they streamlined some things so you can go ahead and, merge documents. You can go ahead and do your application process. You can find knowledge base. You can get help. Everything is on beta.certified. So, and also is an easier way for you to understand the changes in the certification process and remain eligible. So the main goal is you want to remain eligible at all times because this is a pivotal certification that sets you apart from the other certifications just because you are a woman. How great is that, right? So I'm going to go through a couple things on here, and I'm going to walk you through beta.certified because why not? This is great guidance. So you see my little cartoon characters, as I mentioned, I was throwing them out and I was telling you things verbally, what that looks like. Well, now you see what that looks like. So you'll see they have a home page, they have a help page, they have are you eligible page, and then you see that big thing there. Look at that, knowledge base right next to the search, right? You want to click that when you do get a chance because this is the one tool that gives you an overview of everything, okay? Because the reason why I'm highlighting this is because I cannot help you with your application. That's not my job. They took that away from us prior to July, and now they streamlined it to beta. They handed it up to a higher eligibility and certification team. So you're going to utilize your knowledge base on your homepage team because this will help you get help as far as your application. This will help you find tutorial videos. This will give you an application guide that gives you pictures and questions, and you can coordinate and you're on the same page. This helps everybody, including myself, because you're still going to call me. And that's not a bad thing that you call me, but you're still going to call me and I'm still going to refer you right over to this page because it's good knowledge there, right? So on the home page, again, you can access the checklists that provide prior guidance to applying. You can verify eligibility. You can find answers to questions regarding your firm's ability to participate in the program. You can request information from SBA by submitting the help form. So anything application related, submit the request to the SBA help form, okay? Because we cannot see, the district office cannot see what's going on there. So I can't help you if I cannot see it. So you want to reach out to them. And then you also can create an account if you haven't created an account, and it's pretty set forward. Look there, it says federal government employees, and then obviously you're not, but you can create an account, or you can use your login if you already have an account and check things out as well. So in here, under beta.certified.sba.gov, the Are You Eligible tab, right? Here you will find criteria needed to qualify for the program. Again, I went over a lot of criteria to qualify for the program, but now you're going to see it in black and white. People like to see both. There's also interactive links to questionnaires that will help evaluate your firm's preliminary eligibility. I would highly recommend you utilize any hyperlink that you see in there because it has good information. And oftentimes when we're busy or we're looking for specific things, we often overlook those hyperlinks that have valuable information. Especially if you call me and I'm going to just refer you back to that hyperlink or whatnot. If we're on the same page, that's great. If we're not, I can still help you. That's part of my job. But I want you guys to be well-versed and well-known about what's going on in the WASB world because things can change. As you know, the federal government changes daily, sometimes by the minute. And this is also good information. So in the prepare to apply section, you will find checklists to guide you through the process. Who doesn't like checklists? I know I like checklists. I want to see it. I want to know, I want to know what I have to do because if I have to guess and I'm submitting the wrong information, it will delay your process for the WASB certification. So if you look at that checklist, you'll be able to see exactly what you need to submit. And obviously there's information on the documents you will need as you begin as well. So if you have all of those set aside, you're already one step ahead of the game. And this will make your certification process much easier than someone who does not have this information. So in the get started, right? There's a couple housekeeping things you probably should have, right? I'm gonna throw that out there. If you missed the first segment of this two-part segment, right? I talked about you need a DUNS number. Again, your DUNS number is your unique identifier to your business. You need to register in SAM because if the government does not see you in SAM, the government does not know you exist. Again, SAM is your best friend in this. You need to know SAM, you need to understand SAM, and if you don't have any clue what SAM is or understand SAM, reach out to your local resources, okay? Go ahead and reach out to your local Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Go ahead and reach out to your SCORE, your SBDC, your WBCs, because they know about SAM and they can help you and they can spend one-on-one counseling with you for free, and that's great. And then you also want to create your SBA account. So once you create the account, you'll be able to log in and log out as you please. You'll be able to check the statuses of your application. You'll be able to check if there's some errors. You'll be able to make changes, etc. It's a really good all-around tool, especially it's labeled Get Started. If you don't do anything else, go to that one first because, yeah, if you don't have that, you're going to be lost and it's not going to make sense to you. So I'm going to just talk about a couple different things that's going on with the WASB and the EDWOSB set-aside industry. So it's kind of the same, but it's different. So in the WASB, the NAICS code assigned to the contract in an industry where WASB are substantially underrepresented, right? So substantially. So that basically means, yeah, we know there's women here, but all right, let's highlight these women, right? Whereas in the economically disadvantaged WASB, all right, this NAICS code is assigned to people who are underrepresented, or the people who feel like, hey, I'm at an economic disadvantage, right? So This is the difference between the two. However, we also have something called a rule of two. So the rule of two with anything, this is not just a WASB, this applies to the HubZone and the 8As and the service disabled too. The contracting officer, right, has a reasonable expectation that 2 or more WASBs will submit an offer, right? So 2 or more. This is with anybody. You have to at least have 2 or more for a sole source. If you don't have a sole source, the reasonable expectation from a contractor is that they're going to have 2 or more people say, hey, can you make this into a WASB? If they don't have that, it's still going to remain a competitive, right? So I can't be like, I really think you should make it into a WASB, but only one WASB applied. And they're gonna be like, okay, so where's the other one? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know they applied until they just called and told me, So that's not gonna work out. So you just wanna make sure that there's a reasonable expectation that you understand that at least 2 or more WASB will submit an offer in which that will make it more beneficial to you all, because then you'll be able to get awarded a contract. And then also the main thing, all contracts must be awarded at fair market price, because no one wants an angry business owner. No one wants an angry BOS. No one wants an angry resource partner. And then we're all hearing complaints because it's not fair. So they have to create it for it to be fair in order for them to advertise it to the public. So again, when we're looking at EDWSB and WASB sole source contract, and then again, sole source, keyword, sole source means directly awarded to you or whoever. You want to make sure you understand that there are eligible NAICS codes under WASB and EDWSB that you want to make sure your business falls within. Again, there is fair and reasonable price. Everything should be awarded at a fair and reasonable price, which means they're evaluating, which means they're looking at all the factors. That way you can't say, I feel discriminated against. The contract value, it's $6.5 million for manufacturing and $4 million for all other. And what that basically means, in the time frame that you as a WASB or EDWSB gets a contract, okay? Say, for example, I'm going to throw out something. The contracting officer gives you a project, right? And we're going to say this is construction because this is the easiest one. The construction contract says you're going to do the scope of work over a couple periods of states over a 5-year period. So you have a base year plus 4-year options, right? So they want to give you a contract for $7.5 million. Now you ask yourself, can I do it? No, because the number is 6.5 and they can't go over 6.5. So as long as they're under 6.5, actually, as long as they're under 4 million, I'm gonna say 4 million, it's fine. If it's manufacturing, as long as they're under 6.5, then you're fine. If it's over that threshold, they cannot award it to you for sole source. It would have to be marketed as competitive. And then for the sole source, only one WASB or economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business that can be performed. So you're either or here. You're going to bid as a WASB, you're going to bid as an EDWSB to benefit yourself. I'm going to go back to 3 because 3 is very important. You have to understand this, right? So you have to understand if a contracting office, and it's nothing personal, if they're trying to award something to you, they have to be within these guidelines. Or if they send it to me, especially if you're in the 8A program, that would be the only way they would send it to me. And they say, I want to give this contract to certain people, and I'm looking at the contract numbers and it's over the threshold, I cannot accept it if it's over the threshold. It's something I can do, it's something you can do, it's nothing they can do. It's all governed by our governing documents. Our FAR, our CFR states that we have to stay within these thresholds. So don't take it personal, especially if you're looking at other certifications, because the only way I could see if you're a woman-owned, economically disadvantaged, HubZone, and any other type of certification is if you're under my 8A portfolio. And that's something, we're going to do more stuff like this. That's something I can speak on at another date, but that's the only time. So when you're evaluating that, make sure you go over this with your resource partners, because they also have a good understanding of what this looks like. So when we're thinking about proactive self-marketing, right? Think about it for a second. What does that look like for you, right? Self-marketing. That means Ding, ding, ding. I'm not doing your self-marketing for you. I'm not doing that. I don't know you. I don't know your business. So who better can do your business but yourself, right? Yourself or your family members or your husband or whoever you want to bring. So you want to make sure you can proactively self-market yourself, okay? If you do not know how to do that, go to PTAC, please. Go to PTAC first. Anyways, because I can't do that for you. There's no amount of time in the day that I can set aside to talk about your business. I have no idea what's going on in your business, right? So you want to be able to proactively self-market. And I say proactive, and I mean aggressively self-market. We're going to use aggressive this time. You want to be able to identify the federal buyers and get to know them. I'm not going to be able to tell you who the federal buyers are. That's your job to know. So if you're doing market research, you're already including the steps, right? This is great. You want to identify the contracting procedures and those who make the buying decision, because I'm not going to know that. I don't deal with any of the bidding and solicitations. But if you know it, you're one step ahead, better than the next person who maybe don't know that. You also want to focus in areas in your niche and prioritize. So if you're saying you do construction and that's what your niche is, don't say you want to do engineering over here and engineering doesn't have anything to do with that, okay? Unless it does, and that's your secondary NAICS code, then I understand. But if that doesn't, focus on one thing and then make it your priority to capitalize on that one thing. And then you want to make contacts through small business events and networking your business. So another good way you can go ahead and make contacts is if you utilize SAM, who's your best friend, right? Sam has a brother. Sam uses DSBS, which is Dynamic Small Business Search, right? He allows you to, guess what? This is the kicker, right? He allows you to search other business by similar NAICS code. So now you can network yourself. You can introduce yourself if you want. Maybe you might want to work with them on a future project. Maybe you might see a benefit. Maybe you want them to be your mentor. This is all how we network, you know? And this is something most people may not tell you, but I'm going to tell you because I think it's a hidden gem that needs to be exposed, because what people think is in a time where we're in a pandemic, right? I can't go to an event. Normally this would be an in-person. Okay, I like you all, but I don't want COVID. Okay, so I'm gonna do this from my house, and that's nothing personal, because I see on average, you know, prior to coming here, I used to see 10,000 people a day, right? So that's a lot of people. But here I see up to 100. So I don't know if I want 100 people coughing in my area. I don't think I want that. So you want to make sure if there's a way for you to leverage your business and make small business contacts, that you're utilizing that virtually. If you can find out on a solicitation their contact information, introduce yourself, give your business information, give your capability statement. These are all ways you can network virtually, especially right now when we don't know when we're going to have in-person events. So when we're thinking about getting the most out of the WASB Federal Contracting Program, right? Think about this. So you want to think about the ability to qualify for set-asides or sole source contract awards, increasing prime and subcontracting opportunities. So basically what this is, it opens up the floodgates for you all. You can be a prime contractor. You can be a subcontractor. And usually when you first start off, unless you have a very good, strong reputation, I mean, backed by several federal government agencies, you're going to enter into a subcontracting opportunity situation, okay? And nothing's wrong with that. It just basically means that you're being utilized as a second party, and now you can get exposure saying, hey, you know, I served as a subcontractor on this. Now you can look at me for that. And that opens up more opportunities. And as you develop as a small business owner, that gives you a little bit more free time to be able to grow into being a prime contractor, which is very great. That's a very good achievement. It also gives you the opportunity to build capacity and grow by establishing joint ventures and participating in the All Small Mentor Protege program. So what that basically means is you can network. You're utilizing this system to network. You can go ahead and use DSBS, and maybe you might find someone who has like-minded type things. Maybe you might find the purpose of a joint venture is to utilize a company that has strengths that your weaknesses mirror, okay? You want to make it leverage. You don't want to find a joint venture that you're in the same situation. You want to find a joint venture that makes sense for your business plan. If it doesn't make sense for your business plan, just abandon it. Don't do it. I don't recommend it because it'll waste your time. It'll waste the people trying to figure out what's going on time. You just want to make sure you understand this process. In the All Small Mentor Protege program, if you want to know more information about that, they just combined two programs into one and streamlined it. we don't really deal with that so much because they streamlined it. So if you want to find out information about that, you can also find that under federal contracting on SBA.gov. And you want to hover over the one that talks about the All Small Mentor Protege program, and it'll tell you all the steps you need to do. It'll give you some brief information on joint ventures, and it's very knowledgeable. And then also, when you're getting the most out of the WASB federal contracting program, you want to make sure you have access to training. Here's a training, right? You want to have good management, good technical assistance program. You want to make sure you have guaranteed loans. If you need bonding, you want to understand what that looks like. If all of this is foreign to you, refer to step one. Go to your local PTAC or your local resource partners, because what benefits me as the business opportunity specialist is if we're speaking the same language, right? If I'm speaking to you in federal language and you're talking college level, and I'm a college student and I understand both, it's not going to help you understand if you have no idea what federal language looks like, right? We're going to throw in a couple foreign different words you never heard of. And then you're going to be confused, and I'm going to be confused because I'm confused as you don't know. And I don't know, you don't know. We don't know together, and that's not helpful to anybody, right? So if you get access to training, and again, you can use beta.certified.sba.gov because ding, ding, ding. Again, it has that knowledge base out there. That's the training. That's a good tool. It has FAQs in there. It has application guides in there. It has everything you think you may need in there. You need to check out all 20-something of those links. It's a lot of them. I might be rambling, but I think it's like 20-something links for real. And then for the contacting portion, I'm going to throw out a couple different options because obviously if it's specific to WASB, right? And it's something dealing with your application, please contact or go on the website, www.sba.gov/WASB ready. If it's specific questions on your application, you have to email wasb@sba.gov. There's nothing I can do. I can't see nothing. I can't speculate. I don't have a contact there. You have to do it, and hopefully they'll reach out. If you have any technical requests, if you don't understand, if you need help with Certified, you want to reach out to Certified. If you Google that, you might be able to Google that. And I'm only mentioning Googling the technical help because Certified recently changed the way they operate. They used to operate through help@certified.sba.gov. And if you were to try to email them, they would send you the link to the new way they do it. So it's very straightforward. One for government users, one for business users, and then you can go ahead and navigate and ask for help if you have a question or if there's something that you're concerned about. And then you can also get technical help there visiting the help tab as well. For your resource partners, I threw them out. I shouted them out all through here because I wanted you to know about them, right? So here they are again. You have your procurement technical assistance center, right? So the PTACs are located by your zip code and by your county. So if you figure out, you know what county you are, you'll be able to easily find them. They only service the county in which people live, right? You have your, we have the PCR. I don't really utilize the PCR, but if you want to check with the local procurement center representative is, you want to make sure you click that link there. It's very knowledgeable, right? And then you want to find your Small Business Administration District office. I've already told you I work for the Michigan District office. So that's going to make your search even better, right? Because I've already told you which district I work for. You have the Women Business Centers, your WBC. If you're curious about that, they're free as well. Check that link there. You have the Small Business Development Centers. That's your SBDC. They're free as well. You want to go ahead and check there. You also have your SCORE. SCORE gives you a lot of different opportunities. They can give you mentoring services. They can help you find access to capital. They're free, and sometimes they have a low cost type training. So you want to ask and keep in mind, even though they're advertising as free, there is a chance in which they could have a low cost training that you want to ask about. I'm not saying like it's $400. I mean, it could be like $20. It could be $20 to $40. I don't know. You want to ask what that looks like. And then there is a SBA answer desk, okay? So you're going to ask them for certain questions in regards to that, and they should be able to help you as well. So make sure you keep these resource partners in mind because these are the most utilized. Hence, that's why we work with them. The most utilized resource partners in which they're very effective for the community and for SBA as a whole. And then Here's more contact information. So again, my name is Gabrielle Connor. I am a business opportunity specialist with the Michigan District Office. You can reach me at my email. I'm best reached at my email because often I'm in and out of presentations like this, and sometimes it's easier than I can call you back. You can also, if you have questions, reach out to my lead, Tom Vargo. He is back in the office, so yay, that helps me. He's very resourceful as well. He's been in the SBA program over 15 years. I want to say close to 21, but I want to say it's close to 21. And I've been with SBA for almost 16 months, but I do have 4 other years of federal government experience, a total of 5 years with the Department of Homeland Security. So if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out because all of this information is what's new right now and it's very valuable.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. We're thrilled with all the content you provided with so much enthusiasm. It makes me want to go apply for women-owned business certification, but I don't have a small business. But so thank you so much for that enthusiasm and great content. We do have a few questions if you have just a few more moments.
I sure do.
All right. So in the beginning, you mentioned there are 2 approaches for the certification. There's the no cost through SBA online, and then there's the third party. Is it a different, is there value in doing one or the other? Why would someone want to approach a third party and pay for it as opposed to going through the online SBA approach?
So that's a good question, Jen. So what basically happens is it's an order of convenience, right? So if you're the type of person that you want it now, you want it right now, you don't understand the government process, maybe paying for it outright doesn't bother you. You just take it as a loss and be like, I'll just pay, you know, I don't know how much it costs. I'm gonna throw out a random number, $300-400 right now, and it's gonna benefit you because you don't have to understand SBA to go through SBA, you know? Generally the format is typically the same, except you're using a TPC instead of an SBA authorized situation, which is beta.certified at sba.gov. Now, what I will say about that is if you need help with both, you would then refer back to the previous slide or your resource centers, right? Because even though it's free, everything takes time. Just because you go through a TPC doesn't mean you cut a step. You don't need a SAM profile or you don't need a DUNS number. You still need all of that. You're just paying for convenience and then you're getting something free. If it was me personally, if it's something I need like tomorrow, which it's not, it's usually like 60-day process, you know, maybe I might consider it. But if it's free, I'm gonna take the free option because everything has a cost these days, and maybe that $400 took away for something you could have utilized for business taxes or an unknown expense like fixing your work truck or something. So I would weigh your option. That definitely is a personal decision.
Okay, so it is about a 60-day process. That was another question.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no reason, I think you pointed out a couple times, there's no reason why a woman-owned manufacturing facility, there's no reason not to start the process, even though if you don't plan to apply for government contracting, you know, tomorrow or, you know, in the next 3 months. I see a lot of value in having that women-owned business certification just as part of your business credentials. Do you agree with that, Gabrielle?
Yeah, absolutely, Jen. It's because there are so many disadvantages, as I mentioned before. There's so many disadvantages in the world in general. But if you can highlight one thing that your business has over another business, maximize your opportunity. This is about growing your business. This is about, you know, maximizing the capacity that you have. If you say, you know what, I'm a woman-owned business, and I say, I'm a woman-owned business too. What separates me from you? I'm a woman-owned certified business. Oh, I don't have that. There we go. You know, ding, ding, ding. That's exactly what separates you, because now it separates, hey, we're all woman-owned small businesses, to I'm a woman-owned small business with several certifications. And then you think, oh, here's a conversation. Well, how do I get a certification? Now I'm curious because maybe I want to maximize those efforts too. And that's networking. Now you just leverage a networking opportunity because you can help someone else. So I would definitely say, if you have time, if this is something you want to do, if this is field in which you can maximize all benefits, get every certification that you can because it's free. It's not going to hurt you if you try, even if you abandon it later on because life happens, you know? If you open these opportunities, you have access to all of these 5 categories of set-asides that you no longer had or access to prior to this conversation.
Yeah. I know one woman-owned manufacturing facility that I spoke with probably 6-8 weeks ago. You know, she was hesitant to put woman-owned certification on our website and our email because there's still some stereotypes, especially for manufacturing, for woman-owned certifications. And, you know, we had a great conversation about that. And one thing that I want to make clear to those that are participating and those that will join a little later is once you acquire that certification, you have you're empowered to use that certification how you'd like. You can put it on your website. You can share it with your current customers. You can, I mean, it's completely up to you how you use that certification based on your industry, based on your customer base, based on the jobs that you're quoting. So I just wanted to clarify that you own that certification once you go through the process, and then leverage it from a marketing perspective as you need.
Yes, I would definitely agree.
And then just maybe one more question for you, and that is, it focuses on subcontractor work. Mm-hmm. So a couple other conversations that I've had, and we won't get into the weeds of this. I think it is probably for a question for PTAC. But I wanted to toss it out for our conversation today in case you have insight, Gabrielle. And that is, could you talk a little bit about how a woman-owned business certification could be a supplier or a subcontractor to another facility that actually acquired the contract?
Yeah, so I'll start off. Role. Okay, yeah, no, I start off with this. So again, how you leverage your networking skills is how you'll be able to serve as a commodity to another business. So if you just so happen to meet a business in which you could do the work for and you could serve as a subcontractor, that's one way you can network. You could also maybe do a search. Is anybody looking for a subcontractor? I can do this type of work. The reason why I'm throwing it out this way is because there's not one set way. And obviously you will definitely have to reach out to the PTAC. It's funny you mentioned that, Jen, because I literally just did a presentation yesterday on subcontracting, but there's not one set way to best approach this, because who knows your business better than you, right? This is a part of your market research. If you know you want to be a subcontractor and move into a prime contractor, you want to evaluate. Look at the risks. Look at the middle ground. Look at the contract. See if there's a benefit. Make sure you have a strong team. If you don't have any of that, just watch for now. Sit this one out for a second, because you don't want to get in a situation in which you don't know anything about it, right? There's expectations to be a subcontractor. There's expectations to be a prime contractor. And you have to, it's upheld to the highest of highest, because there's contracts out there. There's stuff you sign off on in between all of you that you have to abide by. And if they feel you're not doing that, well, guess what? Now you just hurt your business, because they're going to put a lump of coal in your stocking and they're going to say you're bad for business, and they're not going to want to work with you anymore because you showed them that you cannot perform on the obligations you said you wanted to perform. So when you're evaluating whether or not what is the best market strategy to become either or, I definitely would recommend you sit down with any of the resource partners that I mentioned, because they're going to give you that one-on-one time experience. Maybe they have a list of people you can talk to. I don't know. I might just be throwing that out there, but they're very resourceful and they see a lot of people. And I think that might benefit you overall, because if this is something you're strongly passionate about, market research is the first step before you even think about the other options. Because if you don't have a good understanding of both, it would be very confusing. And subcontracting is one of the easiest way to get in on a contract versus going straight in as a prime, because you can go under somebody else's experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was extremely helpful. Thank you. MGA will be having a conversation with PTAC, a regional PTAC organization. We're talking with them tomorrow, so it'll be within the next few weeks. We'll have a training posted on the MGA website that focuses on how PTACs across the state can support manufacturers looking to engage in government contracting. So that is yet to come. Looking at the time, I want to just thank you again, Gabrielle, for the conversation. Truly appreciate your enthusiasm and your knowledge of this topic in supporting small businesses. And for us today, certainly it's focused on manufacturing. So we appreciate the time. And again, for the participants today, I will email out this slide deck as well as the recording so that you can view it again if you'd like, or forward it on to a colleague. So with that being said, thank you again, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you, Jen. And always it's a pleasure to present on behalf of SBA to you. And thank you everybody for attending. I hope to see you at future events soon. Have a wonderful day, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.